Hello, fellow invaders. Welcome back to another video. I've got a different build today that I'm using. It's a Carian Knight build. I switched up the fashion a little bit, but it's basically a Carian Knight, and we're using the Lord Sworn swords, the Straight Sword and the Great Sword, because of the critical hit modifier that they have. The reason I'm doing that is that I don't have a ton of base damage on these weapons. This is an intelligence build, and we have a decent amount of intelligence, but we are a level 90 build, so we're just kind of in that phase where we're not doing a ton of damage. But the critical hits, those really help a lot. So I've been trying to parry here, get a couple backstabs where I can, and that's the way that we can really do good burst damage. Another way is by using the Carian sword spells. There's a couple nice kind of combos that you can pull off. I'm not super great at those yet, but you can pull off some nice combos and do some quick burst damage to people. And burst damage is really crucial when you're getting into these 3-on-1 fights. This hunter here is not really being too aggressive, but they do have the Raptor's Talons, which are kind of a scary weapon. They can true combo you with those. They can bleed you out. They can use greases, all that kind of stuff. So they can be pretty deadly if they're built around properly. Whereas these guys, they're using big heavy weapons, but this guy's got the Ruins Greatsword. It's got a tough weapon art, but fairly easy to avoid. He's got the Godslayer Greatsword, and again, very strong weapon art, but he's not going to hit anybody with that. So, I do have to watch out for getting smashed with those big swords. Those will just do a lot of damage on their own, but not really anything crazy to worry about, especially compared to those, Raptor's Talons. So we managed to get the parry against the hunter there, and that was really nice. We managed to take him out before all three of them got together. That would have been much tougher. And we actually have a teammate here. We've got the Worm Face. I think his Deathblight will affect me if I get right into it. I don't think I'm immune to it as an invader. But obviously they're a lot more afraid of it than I am, because he's actually aiming it at them and he's not really hitting me with it. So it's kind of keeping them separated. I get to go for this Phantom a little bit. Sorry, not the hero, the host. I guess the hero. In his story, he's the hero. He comes back in and tries to pull me off. And they're actually doing a pretty good job of trying to stay together, despite the Worm Face there. I take a couple big hits right to the face there. That wasn't good, but I was being a little bit careless. They're not doing the most damage, so we don't really have to be flawless or anything like that. And this guy's heavy rolling. You almost want to take pity on him, but at this point I kind of just really wanted to get them death blighted just for fun. I was really working on parrying here, but this guy wasn't going to be able to parry. He's two-handing that Ruins Greatsword. This guy would have been parryable, but I think I just didn't notice that he was using the sword one-handed for a lot of the time. So we ended up getting him death blighted. We plant a tree in the forest and all is well. Alright, this invasion actually has a pretty hilarious start. So I run in and I see these guys are just getting to the top, so I kind of missed my chance to do some elevator shenanigans. So I buff up and I go to launch a cannon of Haima. I don't see that the elevator's going back down, so that's their third friend trying to come back up. And we just perfectly timed that, not on purpose, but managed to knock him down. So pretty funny, and that puts us into a 2-on-2 situation, which is a lot better than a 3-on-2. I say 2-on-2 because I've got my Flame Monk buddy here with me. He's not really going to do a whole lot, but he kind of gives me a little bit of time and space here. Now this guy is just spamming the Moon Veil, and I really love parrying the Moon Veil, but I was a little bit stubborn this day. We didn't have the greatest connection, this host and myself, so I kept taking some damage while I was trying to parry the attack. I was still getting the glint blade effect, but I just wasn't cleanly parrying it, and I should have just stopped trying. But like I said, I was being stubborn. So we've got the 2-on-1 here, and they're not being very aggressive, so that's obviously really good for me. Shooting some comets, those are pretty dangerous, but he's shooting them from way back there. Those aren't going to hit. Also, notice that the host is using the... Oh, we got a nice parry there. Notice that the host is using the... I think it's Hidden Body, I think it's called. So the Hidden Body spell to try to make himself invisible. Now, if you use that and the Assassin's Gambit at the same time, your opponents actually can't even lock onto you in PvP, and I think that's what he's going for, but he's just not doing it right. I'm not really sure. But yeah, we managed to finish this guy with a series of roll catches. I didn't even know you could do this. I didn't know you could actually roll catch with the R2 of the Straight Sword, but now I know. Really handy. Okay, we have another guy with the Moon Veil here, and he really likes using the weapon art. And his friend actually seems to be over-leveled. He has the Rolana's twin knight swords. I can't remember what they're called, but the weapon that you get from Rolan in the DLC. So they're both using those weapon arts quite a bit. They both do quite a bit of damage. They managed to take the Omen out pretty easily. But the cool thing about the Perfumer is that he can actually buff himself with the aromatic bubble, but he can also buff invaders too. So that's pretty nice. You'll see that in a minute here. And he also does a ton of damage with that Spark Aromatic or the Flame Aromatic or whatever one it is. And it actually allows me to kind of separate the host a little bit and get a good hit on him there. I thought he was going to try to attack me, so I go for the parry, but he's kind of trying to get back with his friend here, and now he's panic rolling, going into the wall a little bit, trying to run with his shield up, but like that doesn't work when I hit him from behind. I don't know if he realizes that. And then look at this. We managed to get a parry on this weapon art, which I didn't know you could do. But that was pretty cool. Now, there's a lot of weapon arts that, like pretty much any melee weapon art can be parried, and I think a lot of people realize that. There are some, like you can't parry whips, you can't parry flails and stuff like that, but I think most people realize that you can parry a melee weapon art, and a lot of times the weapon arts are actually a little bit easier to parry than the regular attacks, right? Because they're a little bit more telegraphed and they have a bit of a windup. But what a lot of times people don't think to parry is like attacks that have kind of a physical motion, but they don't, and they might even have like a hitbox and stuff like that, but they mostly just have, like magical damage or something like that. So Gravitas, for example, you plunge your sword into the ground and then you do the big gravity circle thing and the enemies are pulled towards you. So it's not like the greatest weapon art, but you can use it for certain combos, like with the Meteoric Ore Blade. It has the nice roll catch with the charged heavy attack as a follow-up. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is that initial plunge into the ground, like that can actually be parried, which is pretty cool. And there's a ton of other weapon arts that are like that, where you can parry, that little motion, but you just have to be really close to them in order to do that. This guy's doing a bunch of jump attacks, so I think he knows that the parries are coming. He sees the shield, and he realizes what I'm trying to do here. And then look at this. That's pretty interesting. I don't really know what happened there. Didn't hit me, but I didn't get the parry, so I don't know if there's kind of like a little one frame window that's on like the periphery of the parry window that acts as like a perfect block or something like that, or if it's just kind of like a connection issue. Probably just a connection issue, but we get a nice parry on him. So he's trying to do like running thrust attacks with that halberd, which is a really nice move to do. Those running thrust attacks are, they come out quick, they're powerful, but they're a little bit obvious. So a lot of times, like when you get parries, it'll be on those running. Boom, this guy smokes me point blank with a lightning bolt right in the head. Pretty cool. It's more like a lightning slap than like a projectile. I actually thought that was pretty cool while I was playing. Not going to give this guy too many props. I'm still going to try to kill him, but I don't know. I like when cool stuff like that happens. And honestly, that's the kind of stuff that makes... Oh, check out this sweet shot. Boom, right off the side. But that's the kind of stuff that makes Elden Ring so enjoyable as an invader, because every experience is going to be really unique and different, and there's just so much like oddball, goofy stuff that happens that's, a little bit funny. And as long as you're not like upset every time you lose, or only having fun if you win every single match, like it's the most fun that I think you can have in gaming overall. Now, of course, I'm biased. It's my favorite game, but I don't know. Invading is something I really wish I started doing in the older From Software games, or earlier on in the Elden Ring lifespan. So this guy kind of gets saved by his friend, which honestly is a bit of a relief, because that guy was heavy rolling. We were just roll catching, and kind of felt bad for him, and just didn't really want. I thought he was solo, and I didn't really want to end it that quickly. But look at that. That was pretty sweet, right? So I went up for the Loretta's slash, and I kind of changed my target mid slash, which is pretty sweet. He definitely didn't expect that, and he got a huge hit there. So these guys, they kind of caused their own deaths there. The one guy, he just kept spamming spells. He saw that I was using the Carian Retaliation. He didn't move. He tried to spam another spell. The other guy just saw me parry, and then he ran in and tried to do a running attack. So I don't know. I'm going to say they were kind of asking for it. Just like this guy, he was definitely asking for it. And I know you guys are asking for it. You're saying, where's the splat, Chaz? Where the hell is the splat? Well, there it was. There was a little splat for you. So this guy, if you notice, he's got a colossal weapon, but he's one-handing it here. and you can actually parry one-handed colossal weapons and colossal swords. In fact, it's a pretty easy thing to do because the weapon swings are really slow. You can actually, reaction parry these in PvP. Versus something that's much quicker where you have to kind of predict the attack a little bit, which is much tougher to do. So this guy switches back to one-handed. He thinks his shield is going to protect him a little bit. I get the whiff, and he just continues to do the follow-up. So, I mean, that on me for whiffing, but that on him for just spamming there. That's that. But that Loretta's slash is actually a pretty nice little wake-up there. I kind of queued it up because I thought actually that guy was going to survive with a tiny bit of health, but he didn't. But that Loretta slash actually could be pretty good for finishing people off if you can kind of predict which way they're going to roll, which is easier said than done for sure, but pretty fun when you manage to do it. So we don't have the elevator here, and I'm like, oh crap, we got the lever here, but luckily they're coming down the stairs like pretty slowly, so not a big deal. I don't get to use the elevator because they're just right on my ass, and I'm not trying to fight a 2v1 in a small space, but this is a level 90 build. I don't know if I mentioned that, but a lot of these people, they're probably going through this area actually for the first time, and they might not know how to get around. They might not know that they can go down those rooftops and stuff like that, so it kind of looks like they're taking a look and trying to see, like, where did he go and stuff, but that's exactly what I wanted them to do. I was hoping to knock one of them off that roof there, and unfortunately I didn't do that, but I managed to actually hit both of them, do some good damage. This guy, he runs in pretty good, like, job of avoiding that hammer there as soon as he lands. Then he gets a really nice hit on me, and then I get greedy, tried to parry his weapon arm, and I just beat one, but he comes in with a big telegraph running attack, and we managed to get that one with a parry, so that's pretty nice. And at the same time, his friend dies to the Landell Knight down there, so very nice. So that's all the invasions that I have for you, but I'm going to give you a quick look at the stats and the equipment and stuff like that. So there's the fascia that I have. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm not red in case you want to see it. I don't know if you care about the fashion. I care about the fashion, so I'll show it to you. The Blessed Blue Dew Talisman there, that thing is super handy. I'll give you a quick look at, better look at the stats and the spells here. So you can see it's an int build. That's where we get most of the damage from. Just enough strength index to wield the weapons that we want to wield. Otherwise, pretty simple build. I only have the Erdtree's Favor +1 and the Crimson Amber Medallion +1 because I don't want to kill Malekith yet, because then I'll lose access to Landell. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed the invasions, and I'll have more builds ready to show you soon. Thanks for watching, y'all.